Hello and welcome to the Science of Teaching Reading Exam Timelines and Requirements informational webinar. During today's webinar, participants will understand the Science of Teaching Reading exam requirements, review the timelines associated with the implementation of the Science of Teaching Reading exam, understand the impact of the Science of Teaching Reading exam requirement on other certification exams, and identify opportunities for ongoing communication related to the Science of Teaching Reading exam. Today's presentation has been designed by the Division of Educator Standards and Testing with the Texas Education Agency. The webinar will begin with an overview of the Science of Teaching Reading exam requirement. House Bill 3, passed during the 86th legislature, established the requirement that all candidates who teach students in grades pre-K through grade 6 demonstrate proficiency in the Science of Teaching Reading on a new standalone certification exam. This requirement takes effect on January 1st, 2021. The Science of Teaching Reading exam will be required for the issuance of 5 certificate fields: early childhood, EC through grade 3, core subjects with the Science of Teaching Reading, early childhood through grade 6, core subjects with the Science of Teaching Reading, grades 4 through 8, English Language Arts and Reading with the Science of Teaching Reading, grades 4 through 8, and English Language Arts and Reading and Social Studies with the Science of Teaching Reading, grades 4 through 8. The STR exam will be required for the issuance of the intern, probationary, and standard certifications beginning January 1, 2021. Note, teachers who are standard certified in core subjects EC6, core subjects 4 through 8, ELAR 4 through 8, or ELAR Social Studies 4 through 8 will not be required to pass the Science of Teaching Reading exam for the renewal of their certificate. The STR exam requirement only impacts candidates seeking certification after January 1, 2021. As educator preparation programs and teacher candidates plan for the STR exam requirement, they should be cognizant of important timelines and associated requirements. We will discuss 3 broad categories of teacher candidates impacted by the Science of Teaching Reading exam requirement, and discuss how the Science of Teaching Reading exam requirement may impact their teacher certification pathway. The first group of teacher candidates we will discuss are teacher candidates who may be issued a standard certificate prior to the Science of Teaching Reading exam requirement taking effect on January 1, 2021. Teacher candidates who have completed their educator preparation program requirements, passed all required certification exams, including the required content pedagogy exam, such as core subjects EC6, and pedagogy exams, such as the PPR, completed fingerprinting requirements, and applied for their standard certification in ECOS, including submitting all certification fees, and whose EPP has recommended for certification in ECOS, all prior to December 31st, 2020, will have their standard certificate issued without the STR exam requirement. This certification pathway applies to all teacher candidates who meet these specifications, including teacher candidates that were issued the waiver probationary certificate in the summer of 2020. Teacher candidates and EPPs should work in collaboration to ensure that all certification requirements are met and certificates are issued prior to the 12/31/2020 deadline. The second group of teacher candidates we will discuss are teacher candidates who are pursuing standard certification during the 2020-2021 academic year. During this transition year, these teacher candidates will be required to take and pass the STR exam for the issuance of their standard certificate after January 1st, 2021. The STR exam will be available beginning January 2nd, 2021. All teacher candidates pursuing standard certification during the 2020-2021 academic year will be able to take this exam on or after this date. For the 2020-2021 academic year, teacher candidates prepared in a traditional institution of higher education will be required to pass their content pedagogy, science of teaching reading, and pedagogy exams prior to the issuance of their standard certificate. For the 2020-2021 academic year, teacher candidates prepared in an alternative certification program will be required to take the content pedagogy exam prior to their intern certification, and the STR and pedagogy exams prior to the issuance of their standard certificate. Two important items to note related to the alternative certification pathway. First, candidates who have been issued the waiver intern certificate for the 2020-2021 academic year will not be required to take the content pedagogy exam prior to issuance of their intern certificate. Second, the star next to the STR exam notes that candidates who are issued their intern certificate prior to January 1, 2021 will be required to take the STR exam during their internship and prior to standard certification. This is different from the final certification pathway in effect after January 1, 2021, in which the STR exam will be required for issuance of the intern or probationary certificates. Finally, for traditional IHE and alternative certification candidates who complete all certification requirements prior to December 31st, 2020, but were not issued a standard certificate prior to that deadline, will be required to pass the Science of Teaching Reading exam for issuance of their standard certificate. The third group of candidates are those who are pursuing their intern, probationary, or standard certification after January 1, 2021. Candidates prepared through traditional IHEs will be required to pass the content pedagogy, STR, and pedagogy exams prior to the issuance of the standard certificate. Candidates prepared through alternative certification will be required to pass the content pedagogy and STR exams prior to their intern certification, and the pedagogy exam prior to their standard certification. For candidates who are also pursuing supplemental certification areas, they should work in partnership with their preparation program to identify the appropriate timelines and requirements for passage of the associated certification exams. These certification requirements will be required for the impacted certification fields beginning January 1, 2021 and onward. In summary, beginning January 1, 2021, the STR exam will be required for the following certificates to be issued: Early Childhood, EC through Grade 3, Core Subjects with the Science of Teaching Reading, EC through 6, Core Subjects with the Science of Teaching Reading 4 through 8, English Language Arts and Reading with the Science of Teaching Reading 4 through 8, and English Language Arts and Reading with Social Studies with the Science of Teaching Reading grades 4 through 8. This is a statutory mandate, which means that there is no flexibility in this deadline. This statutory mandate includes currently enrolled candidates pursuing certification in a House Bill 3 impacted certification field listed above, who do not finish prior to 12/31/2020, future candidates pursuing certification in a House Bill 3 impacted certification field, candidates who may have previously completed a preparation program who have not been issued a standard certificate prior to January 1st, 2021, candidates issued the waiver probationary certificate who have not completed all testing requirements and have not been issued a standard certificate prior to January 1, 2021. And finally, teachers seeking certification through the certification by exam route for in-house Bill 3 impacted certificate field after January 1, 2021. Educator preparation programs are encouraged to notify and support candidates who are currently enrolled in their EPPs and candidates who previously completed their program regarding the Science of Teaching Reading exam requirement, which begins January 1, 2021. To support the transition to implementation, the Science of Teaching Reading exam will launch with a pass-fail period, during which candidates will meet a minimum cut score to obtain a pass on the Science of Teaching Reading exam. A pass during the pass-fail period may be used for issuance of the intern, probationary, or standard certificate. Beginning September 2021, a scaled score will be established for the Science of Teaching Reading exam, after which candidates will need to meet a specified scale score to pass the Science of Teaching Reading exam. Beginning September 2021, a candidate's Science of Teaching Reading exam score report will include both the scaled score and pass-fail status. More information regarding the implementation of the pass-fail period for the Science of Teaching Reading exam will be provided in the coming months. To support EPPs and teacher candidates in their preparation for the Science of Teaching Reading exam requirement, the following resources will be provided to the field. The Science of Teaching Reading standards, adopted by the State Board of Educator Certification, are accessible through the TEA website, along with the Science of Teaching Reading test framework, which specifies the content included in the Science of Teaching Reading exam. The Science of Teaching Reading exam preparation manual, which includes information on the structure of the assessment and sample multiple choice and constructed response questions, as well as practice test items to support candidate preparation, will also be made available in fall 2020. Finally, the Science of Teaching Reading exam, representative and interactive practice exams will be made available to educator preparation programs in spring of 2021 to support candidate preparation. The implementation of the Science of Teaching Reading exam also necessitates updates to additional certification exams for the impacted certification fields. The Core Subjects EC6 exam has been updated to remove content that will now be assessed on the Science of Teaching Reading exam. This update includes removing Science of Teaching Reading duplicative content from the ELAR subtest and reducing and redistributing content across the remaining subtests to increase available time per test item. A similar review process to remove STR duplicative content was also conducted for the 117 ELAR 4-8 exam, the 113 ELAR Social Studies 4-8 exam, and the 211 Core Subjects 4-8 exam. For these exams, there was no additional changes, and therefore the test numbers remained the same. For the Core Subjects EC6 exam, there will be a year-long overlap period between the current exam, 291, and the updated exam, 391. Both exams will be operational from January 2nd, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. It is recommended that candidates who are first-time test takers take 391 after January 1, 2021. The year-long overlap in operational periods is intended to support candidates who have already taken 291 and are still seeking to pass specific 291 subtests. Candidates are encouraged to work in collaboration with their EPP to determine the most appropriate exam. A passing score on 291 can be used for issuance of the core subjects with STR EC6 certificate up to, but no later than, December 31st, 2022. The preparation manual and representative exams for 391 will will be available in the fall of 2020. Finally, we would like to highlight opportunities for continued communication related to the Science of Teaching Reading exam. For continued updates regarding the Science of Teaching Reading exam requirement, please reference the TEA website. In addition, EPPs will receive a bi-monthly newsletter from Pearson and the Educator Preparation Program weekly newsletter, both of which will contain updates related to the Science of Teaching Reading exam. Please contact your assigned program specialist to register for the EPP weekly newsletter. To request additional topics for upcoming Science of Teaching Reading newsletters and/or webinars, please complete a short survey linked on the screen. Thank you for attending the Science of Teaching Reading Exam Requirements and Timelines webinar.